Okay, so I want you to picture this. You're in a conference room. You have spent, what, 3 weeks working on a proposal. You've lost sleep over it. You pitch it to the leadership team. You pour your heart out. And at the end, the VP leans back, nods slowly, and says, "That is a very interesting perspective."
And you walk out of there feeling on top of the world.
I walk out feeling like a champion. I go home. I tell my partner. They loved it. They called it interesting. And then just silence.
Mhm.
A week goes by, 2 weeks. Eventually, I find out the project was, well, killed about 5 minutes after I left the room. And I'm standing there thinking, wait a minute. I speak English. They speak English. Why did I think interesting meant yes when it actually meant absolutely not?
It is the classic corporate bait and switch. You thought you were getting a green light, but really you were getting a stop sign wrapped in very expensive GIF paper.
Exactly. And that is what we are unpacking today. We're looking at office English. And based on the research we've pulled for this deep dive, we aren't just talking about jargon or buzzwords. We're talking about a secret code, a nuanced, highly political dialect that operates on a completely different set of rules than the English we use at the grocery store.
That's the key right there. If you treat office communication like a simple information transfer, like you're just ordering a coffee, you are going to miss the real message pretty much every time. We have to frame this whole discussion not around grammar, but around strategy.
Strategy. That's a heavy word for just talking to your boss.
All right.
But it makes sense. I've always felt like there's this, I don't know, this invisible layer of meaning that I'm missing. Like everyone else has the decoder ring and I'm just taking things literally.
You are definitely not alone in that. And actually, there's a sociological term for this. It's called a high context culture.
High context. Okay, break that down for us.
So a low context culture is explicit. If I'm in a low context environment and I want you to open the window, I just say, open the window. The meaning is all in the words.
Simple. Efficient. I like it.
But an office, specifically a corporate office, is a high context environment. The words themselves matter less than the context around them. You know, who is saying it, who's listening, what is the hierarchy in the room? In this environment, communication isn't just about facts. It's about maintaining relationships and managing reputations.
So if I just blurt out the truth, I might be accurate, but I'm kind of breaking the social rules of the game.
Exactly. If I look at you in a meeting and say, your idea is bad, I am technically transferring information. But socially, I am attacking your status. I'm damaging our relationship. I am triggering your ego defense.
Right. And I immediately get defensive. I stop listening. I probably start plotting my revenge.
Precisely. And that friction is expensive for a company. It slows everything down. So Office English evolved as a sort of linguistic bubble wrap. It allows us to deliver negative news or exert power without triggering that fight or flight response. It prioritizes psychological safety, or at least the appearance of it, over raw clarity.
So it's diplomacy. We are all essentially diplomats representing our own little departments.
That is a perfect analogy. You're managing state secrets and avoiding war, all while trying to get a budget approved.
Okay, so if we're diplomats, we need to learn the local language. We have a whole stack of phrases here from our sources, the greatest hits of confusing office speak. And I want to start with the one I mentioned in the intro, the silent killer.
That's interesting.
Ah, yes, the ultimate placeholder.
Now, literally, if I look this up in the dictionary, interesting is a compliment. It means engaging, fascinating, worthy of attention. But you're saying that in a boardroom, it carries a totally different payload.
It absolutely does. In a corporate setting, interesting is what we might call a non-committal bridge.
A bridge between you finishing your sentence and me needing to say something that isn't, I hate this.
So it's a stalling tactic.
Often, yeah. I mean, look, if I am truly blown away by your idea, I will say, that's brilliant, or I love that, or let's do it. There is energy behind it. But the flat, thoughtful, that's interesting. Well, that is a red flag.
It's the pause that gets me. It's always, pause. That's interesting.
That pause is the sound of them searching for a polite way to shut you down. Usually, that's interesting is code for one of three things. One, I disagree with you, but I don't want to debate it right now. Two, I have no idea what you're talking about, but I don't want to look stupid by asking.
And three,
I don't like it, and I am trying to find a way to kill it without embarrassing you in front of the group.
it's like a participation trophy for speaking. You made sounds with your mouth. That is interesting.
It grants you dignity, but not approval. It protects your ego while rejecting your content.
It's terrifying. Okay, let's move to another one that I see constantly. Let's take this offline.
The classic containment strategy.
Now, to be clear for anyone listening, this has nothing to do with the internet. We aren't literally disconnecting. But it feels like a weapon. It feels like a mute button someone just used on you.
It is a crowd control device. Think about the theater of a meeting. You have an audience. You have a hierarchy. If you and I start arguing about a specific budget line item in front of the CEO, what happens?
We look petty. We look like we aren't aligned. It's a bad look.
Exactly. We're lowering the status of the meeting. We're wasting the group's time. So when I say, that's a great point, let's take this offline, I am signaling to the room, I am saving you from this boredom, and I am signaling to you, stop talking.
This is a way to save face for both of us.
Yes. I'm basically saying, let's stop performing for the audience and have the real conversation in private.
But here's the darker side of it. I mean, how often does that offline conversation actually happen?
That is the catch. Often offline is where ideas go to die quietly. It removes the pressure to resolve the issue now. Once we leave the room, the urgency just evaporates. It's a very effective way to diffuse a grenade by just tossing it into a closet and locking the door.
It sounds so productive, though.
Yeah.
Let's give this the special attention it deserves later. But usually it just means, let's bury this where nobody can see us fighting.
Or simply, you're derailing my agenda and I need you to stop. It is a power move masquerading as a time management tip.
Okay, so interesting is a soft no. Offline is a mute button. Let's talk about the absolute allergy the office has to the actual word no. It seems like no is a forbidden word in corporate culture.
It's harsh. No stops conversation. No closes doors. In a political environment, you always want to keep options, or at least the appearance of options open. You want plausible deniability.
Plausible deniability. That sounds like something straight out of a spy novel.
And it applies here, too. You never want to be the person who explicitly killed an idea that might become popular later. So instead of no, we get the dreaded maybe.
Maybe. The word of hope.
The word of false hope. If you ask for a promotion or a budget increase and your manager says, maybe we can look at that next quarter, what do you hear?
I hear not now, but soon. Hang in there.
And that is the trap. In office English, maybe next quarter is essentially what we call a pocket veto.
Pocket veto. I like that.
They aren't rejecting it outright, which would require justification and might upset you. They are just deferring it. They're banking on the fact that by next quarter you'll be too busy, or the priorities will have changed, or you'll have forgotten.
So it relies on entropy to do the dirty work.
Exactly. If the answer was yes, they would say, let's make a plan. Maybe is almost always a soft no that allows you to leave the office feeling okay, even though you didn't get what you wanted.
Which brings us to my personal favorite euphemism for impossible. The phrase, that might be challenging.
This one is a masterpiece of nuance.
It sounds so neutral. It sounds like a puzzle. Oh, it's a challenge. I love challenges. Let's solve it.
That is exactly why it's so dangerous. It leverages your own work ethic against you. It sounds objective. It sounds like an engineering problem. But when a boss or a client says that timeline might be challenging, they aren't asking you to try harder. They are telling you that is unrealistic.
So when I say, I can have this done by Friday, and they say Friday might be challenging, they mean Friday is not happening.
Correct. They mean you are dreaming. But notice the phrasing. Saying you are dreaming is an attack on your competence. It says you are wrong. Saying it's challenging shifts the blame to the situation. It depersonalizes the negative.
It saves face. But if I take it literally, if I act like the eager beaver and say I accept the challenge, I'm basically walking right off a cliff.
You are setting yourself up for failure, yes, because you missed the stop sign.
And then we have the king of all delay tactics, the Bermuda Triangle of office communication. Let's circle back.
Ah, the circle back. The loop.
Does anything ever actually come back from the circle?
Rarely. Let's circle back is the snooze button on a conversation. Sometimes it is genuine, sometimes you really do need more data, but frequently, let's circle back translates to, I hope this topic disappears, or I don't have the authority to say no, so I'm going to wait until we all conveniently forget you asked for this.
So let's look at the big picture here. We have a language built entirely on avoidance. Interesting, avoids conflict. Offline, avoids public scenes. Maybe, avoids commitment. Challenging, avoids blaming. I have to play devil's advocate here. Isn't this incredibly inefficient?
From a purely data transfer perspective, yes.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
Right. I mean, think about the hours wasted analyzing maybe or working on a challenging project that was never going to get approved. Wouldn't a culture of radical candor just save everyone time and money? Just say what you mean.
If we were robots, absolutely. Efficiency would be the only metric. But we are dealing with human psychology, and humans run on trust. This brings us back to the concept of trust damage.
Trust damage. Okay, break that down.
Well, think about the mechanism of trust in a team. It's fragile. If a leader is constantly direct, this is bad, that's wrong, no, we aren't doing that, it might be efficient, but it is also abrasive. It just wears down the psychological safety of the group.
People stop volunteering ideas because they are afraid of being shot down.
Exactly. You create a culture of silence. But if you use the Office English approach, I think we could strengthen the analysis here. Instead of, this analysis is garbage, the meaning is effectively the same. You still have to fix the report. But the emotional damage is minimized. You feel coached, not scolded.
So the friction of decoding the message is the price we pay for keeping the team cohesion intact.
That is a perfect way to describe it. It lubricates the gears of the organization.
Now, looking at our sources, there is a big but here. This isn't universal, is it?
No, and this is crucial for our listeners who work internationally. This specific style of indirectness, this high-context dance we do, is highly specific to certain cultures. We see it most heavily in the UK, the corporate US, Canada, and Australia.
Right, so if I'm in the Netherlands or Germany, this conversation might be totally different.
Completely different. In some cultures, like the Netherlands, Germany, Israel directness is actually a form of respect.
Respect. That feels so counterintuitive to me.
It's just a different value system.
Yeah.
There, telling you that is a bad idea means I value your time enough not to waste it. It means I trust you enough to handle the truth.
Whereas here, in the Anglo-corporate sphere, if you did that,
You would be labeled difficult. You would be seen as having low EQ, low emotional intelligence. In the US-UK model, being professional is pretty much synonymous with being diplomatic. Being too blunt is seen as a failure of character.
that is a massive shift. So if you are working with a global team, you aren't just translating words, you're translating entire value systems.
You have to know the rules of the game you're playing.
Okay, so we know why it happens, we know the key phrases, but what about the listener right now who is thinking, I am naturally direct, or English isn't my first language, and this is terrifying? How do they navigate this minefield? We need a survival guide.
Absolutely. The first step is to stop listening to the lyrics and start listening to the music. You have to become a detective.
Start with tone.
Tone is everything. We talked about that's interesting. If the pitch goes up at the end, that's interesting. It might be genuine curiosity. If it drops or stays flat, that's interesting. It's a red flag. You have to listen for the enthusiasm or, the lack of it.
And body language, too. When someone says, let's take this offline, are they looking at you? Or are they closing their notebook?
Right. Closing the notebook is the universal sign of this conversation is over. That is a definitive no. But the real power move, and this is actionable advice for everyone listening, is to stop guessing. You need to use clarifying questions.
I love this concept. Don't just accept the code, hack it.
Exactly. You can force clarity without being rude. Let's take the challenging example. If your boss says that timeline might be challenging, do not just nod and say, I'll try my best.
Because then you've agreed to the impossible.
Right. Instead, you pivot. You ask a specific diagnostic question. You say, when you say challenging, do you mean budget-wise or resource-wise?
Oh, that is good. Because it forces them to pick a category.
It traps them politely. They can't just hide behind the vague word challenging anymore. They have to define the obstacle. They have to say, well, actually, we don't have the budget.
Boom. And now you have the real no.
But notice, you got there professionally. You didn't accuse them of being vague. You just asked for clarification to help them. You maintained the polite fiction while extracting the truth.
It's tactical empathy. You are playing the game by their rules, but you are winning.
And it works for circle back, too. When someone says, let's circle back on this, don't just say, okay. Ask, great, when should we put that on the calendar? Does next Tuesday work?
You're calling their bluff.
Gently. If they say, oh, let's just play it by ear, you know the idea is dead. If they give you a date, it's real. You are testing the integrity of the offer.
This really changes your perspective on meetings. You realize that half the people in the room are speaking a secret code, and the people who get ahead are the ones who can decrypt it in real time.
And once you hear the code, you can't unhear it. You'll start noticing circle, back, and offline everywhere.
So if we look at the big picture here, Office English isn't just bad communication. It's annoying, sure, but it's actually a highly evolved, strategic layer of diplomacy.
It is. It's designed to reduce conflict and keep the workplace calm. It prioritizes the relationship over the raw data.
And for our listeners, the application here is simple. Be a detective. In your next meeting, when you hear these phrases, just hit the pause button in your brain. Translate them in real time.
Don't react to the literal meaning. React to the strategic meaning.
And here's the thought I want to leave you with, something to mull over the next time you're presenting a slide deck. When you finish speaking, and someone looks at you and says, "That is a very interesting perspective," don't celebrate. Ask yourself, what did they really just say to me? And more importantly, do I have the courage to ask the clarifying question to find out?
That is the question that separates the learners from the leaders.
Thanks for diving in with us today.
Always a pleasure.
See you on the next deep dive.